So welcome back to my channel. This is Gamer Dom and I'm on the sandbox today. So this is the pre-test environment that Wargaming have set in place. So sandbox is where they trial new ideas that may or may not appear in the game for real. So this is the second iteration of the sandbox. First one tested penetration accuracy and some changes they were looking at there. This one is the long awaited one, looking at artillery, everybody's favourite class of vehicles. So what they're looking at basically here with artillery is that, jolt there, sorry, is that they will be less, how to put it, so they're going to have less impact in terms of one-shotting enemy vehicles, but they're going to do more sort of nagging damage. So case in point, and there's one of the changes they're also trialling, is their own version of battle assistant. I don't like it, it makes me feel drunk, and I like feeling drunk. Anyway, I'm in the back chat. There's another change, sorry, and changes coming left, right and centre. So if you press the T button, it shows your team where your splash is likely to hit. It didn't actually fire, but you can see that allows your team to get out the way. So I'm aiming in on this E50 here, let the shell go, and it landed short. So still no guarantee you're actually going to hit anything. Here we go, in the new battlefield assistant view. Shell away, and I land short again, so I've missed twice. So same old, same old. There's a Foch at the back there, he's a bit better target. And you can see there, I missed, didn't hit directly, but the splash has stunned. You can see the 2 second, 1 second above those tanks. It has stunned the targets, and what effectively is happening is you have less blast radius, less damage, less penetration, but a larger blast circle. So if I had another shell landed short, so missed it entirely, but it would land in the middle of those tanks and stunned both of them and done a little bit of damage to both. Now the other thing you'll notice is I've reloaded quicker. The backchat clip has been reduced to 4 shells, no sorry 3 shells, but it reloads much quicker than before, which is kind of good as well. So here we go, let's see what we can do to this. Now we hit him directly, did 318 damage and stunned him as well for 10 seconds or more. Aiming in on, sorry about all this jolting around, I don't like this battlefield assistant version. So the shell missed entirely, so no effect on either of those tanks. But I'm aiming more in on them this time. See if we can do some damage to this Skoda. Shell's in the way, missed him, but I still stunned him. And you can see that the numbers diminish, and effectively that's like having your crew knocked out, but only for a limited period of time. So corresponding impact on your crew skills, your load slightly slower, your aim goes worse, your view range is worse, all those kind of good stuff happens when you get stunned. The other thing to note is below my consumables, so below the repair kit, it says 90, and that is effectively you get rechargeable consumables on this test of sandbox. So I could use that small repair kit, and then 90 seconds later it's recharged and I can use it again. And you can also use those repair kits to help with removing the stun factor. So I'm aiming back in, there's a 100 side on, hit him in the side, did 570 damage, stunned him for 12 seconds as well. Aiming back in, and he's down. Aiming in on the Foch, he's side on to me, aiming where he's going to be, hits him in the side, does 916 damage and stuns him, so that's a huge impact, and he is taken down. So you can see the actual damage you're doing is you're still doing damage, but the blast circle is much wider, so you'll spread out much more, and as your shot or the blast travels out, so targets that are closer to the center of the hit will have more damage inflicted than those that are further out, which again is logical. So there is a what is that there? Oh, I hate this change of view. So there's a Grill 15 making a run for it. Can we still do, I mean with the increased splash he's on very low health, so we should be able to, if we land it just ahead of him, Reloaded, fire. Yeah, and we did. We actually hit him bang on for 600 damage by the look of that. Enemy artillery. He's probably going to be dead before that shell gets there, but no, he is dead because we killed him. So, the game is in the balance. It's 12 plays 11. There's an enemy Type 5 Heavy. Again, another tank that's had a good old boost in this game. Shells on the way. No idea whether I did anything to him, but I'm going to get my little booty moving. This French artillery is evil. It's quick. It has the magazine. And I'm going to try and get up and try and get in the cap actually and see if I can put some pressure on the enemy team. So, enemy artillery spotted. So yeah, the general idea with this is that artillery are more of a nuisance than a serious threat. So you're not likely to one-shot things anymore. The damage values have dropped considerably. The penetration values have dropped considerably, and as a sort of trade-off, your reload time and your aim time has got better, and your blast zone has got better. The other thing to say is there's no no heat or AP rounds for any artillery that they're testing. We got spotted as I came forward there. Oh, it's the FV. Okay, so we get well away from him, try and get up somewhere where he can't see or fire at us. Yeah, so the ammo values, you can't use heat anymore. It will be HE and a sort of premium HE. I'm not even using that in this battle because on the sandbox you have to buy it for gold, and you don't get any gold at the beginning, you only earn it over a series of games. So I'm going to try and fire at him. See, didn't hit him, but I did track him, and I also stunned him for 15 seconds. That was a pretty good hit. So we can hopefully keep him stunned here. He's been hit by somebody else, so that will give me effectively assistance damage. There goes. Ah, he would have been gone, but he's he was taken out. So the one remaining tank left, this Type 5 Heavy. And a shot in there. That was again splash only. Tracked him, he repaired, and he moved off. So I am going to reload again on my clip. Need to turn the tank over, move forward, get into the cap, pressurize the enemy. We've only got one Type 5 Heavy left, but we have got two backchat artillery against that poor guy. He really doesn't have a chance. He's on low health, with the two of us firing at him, he's in real trouble. So, as I say, I'm enjoying that. I haven't played that many games on the sandbox because it's quite difficult to play RT on the sandbox because everyone's trying out the new mechanics and wants to see what it's like. So when you go on, there's 10 medium tanks, 10 heavy tanks, and 300 artillery waiting to play. And because there's only 3 allowed in a game, shell away, you're not getting on it very easily. Missed him, but I did again, stunned him. Not as much this time, less because he was on the shell was further out, but eventually he dies. So there you go, game over. Good game. So that was a pretty good game. I enjoyed that. I'm feeling good about these changes, or proposed changes to the artillery rules that they're trying out here on the sandbox. I think it makes the artillery, as an artillery player, and okay, I'm not the greatest artillery player, but I do enjoy playing it from time to time. I'm not a rabid artillery hater, and it feels like when you miss, if you're doing the right things and aiming sort of into the areas of most concentration of enemy, at least when you miss, you do something before you have to wait all that time to reload and try again. And so a couple of times there I missed, but the splash was enough that I could actually stun enemy vehicles, do a little bit of damage on enemy vehicles, and I felt at least I was contributing to the game. I'm not sure about the economy of scale of it yet. I don't think they're necessarily getting that right. I think I mean, that to me, again, I'm not an expert, and I haven't, people who play the backchat artillery can tell me whether that was a cracking game or not, but it felt good. And I didn't actually score terribly well, so I got a 3rd class. I mean, I guess the class system is probably set up for the live server with a whole different mechanics, so that will change. But where did we finish? Finished, see, 2,483 damage and 3 kills. 861 base XP. Seems just the XP seems a little low, maybe not. I don't know. Didn't feel like. And we still do a fair bit of damage, and we still got kills. Yes, you can still kill under these new rules. So 16 shots fired. I only actually hit directly with 8, but I did do some serious damage with those 8. So let's have a look here. It wasn't massive hit. That certainly wasn't. Okay, so I didn't do massive hits. So 500 with 2 hits on the Death Star. That was the side shot on the Foch. Did 961 and knocked out a couple of modules as well, which is particularly satisfying. So where did all my damage come from then? 200, 75, 200, 300. Okay, so that was all right. 500. Yeah, so it all adds up. It adds up in multiple hits. Okay, and we got 500 assistance. We also got some base capture points. Now ignore the bonus. You get bonuses on the sandbox for playing games effectively, but 28,000 credits. Costs was 17,900. So what's that? Just over 10,000 profit with a non-premium account, and 861 base XP. Seemed a little on the low side, but I enjoyed the game. So I felt the artillery was much more relevant, yeah, I mean they've on this batch out artillery they've removed some of the shells. You've only got a 3 shell magazine now, but then the reload of the magazine has gone down considerably. But it has affected its DPM. DPM is now down to just over 2,000, which is rubbish. And I felt I was waiting a long time for the next shell to be ready to fire. And I don't have this artillery on the real server, so I don't know whether that's true normally. But it just felt like I only had 3 shells. I waited a long time between each round to fire. Then I was loaded again pretty quick, but then it seemed to take a disproportionate length of time to reload again. So, stun power 100. Okay. So, maximum duration of stun 30 seconds. Okay. So, yeah, I think broadly that's good. But let's have another try. It does take a long time to get into the live. It does take a long time to get into sandbox games playing artillery, because they are limiting them as well to only 3 maximum. Most of the games I've seen have only had 2. So it can take a long time. So bear with. I'll equip another tank, and we'll try a different artillery this time, and see what we can do with it. Okay, Corellia. Driving the American Tier 10 artillery, the T-92 heavy motorized carriage. I think that means HMC. Someone can correct me, I'm sure. Where to go? I'm not a big artillery player, as people know who watch the channel. However, I'm not averse to playing it. So my problem is I don't actually know where the best locations are to play artillery. So I'm assuming from here, the back of team killing on the enemy side already. Oh joy. I'm assuming from the back here I've got line of sight down to sort of H7 area, which should be useful to the team. Now, the one thing I have learnt from the games I have played so far with artillery is that on this sandbox is that you need to try and do what you can to support your team. If you can maximize the impact of your shells, you can do a lot of help for your teams. The sort of days of the one-shot kills are not completely gone, but they're not as common as they once were. Like that. I hit him 400 and it was only a splash damage, but I've stunned him for 16 seconds. Doesn't stop him moving entirely, but it slows him right down. This is the new view mechanics, by the way. I don't like it. I have to say, this is their Wargame's answer to Battle Assistant. So I'm targeting that guy. I'm letting my team know. Unfortunately, it didn't help him. And we did kill him. There we go. So you can kill things in this thing. But we have to move because our IS-4 over here is getting owned. So we've had a pretty good start. 700 damage. Done a bit of assistance. But now we're having to shift because the cap's going to be under threat any minute now. I don't know where I can get to that's safe here. Such is the spotting range of all these tanks nowadays. I would love to have stayed to... well, oh, I've still got that. Oops. Did I turn that off? There we go. Okay, I'm going to have to keep moving. Let's fire back towards the base, see if we can help the guy out over there. Can't see him anymore. I'll try and let him know that I'm trying to spot for him, but oh, I've been spotted, so I'm dead. So we've aimed the shell at this guy. Now we stunned him, but didn't do much. Oh, we did reset as well, so a stun counts as a resetter. Trouble is I now have a whole load of enemy tanks coming up behind me. I've got to move. Nice, alright, he just cleaned out. We're dead, really, but let's go down swinging, huh? Ah, missed entirely. Tried to thread a shot there, nothing doing. Never mind, it doesn't matter, it's only sandbox, but it's interesting, you can see the sort of the way the mechanics are sort of working here. It's about stunning, it's about supporting the troops, your friendly tanks as much as you possibly can. Might get one shell away. Oh, good job. Don't block me. Oh great, it's just now blocking my shot. Well, lined up a nice shot and then friendly artillery drove right in front of me. Oh well, we took him out. We did some damage at least. So you can see how it works, is that that stun has more impact than than it used to, certainly, because the blast circle is much bigger. It didn't feel as noticeable as it did when I used the auto-loading tank. I think the auto-loaders definitely have an advantage because they can fire more rapidly than something like this. I think they need to balance out the aim time or load time of the magazine loading artillery, because it just felt like, I fired, missed, fair enough, but then you have to wait however long for it to reload, and that's with a really good crew. Whereas with the Batchat artillery, it seemed like I fired, missed, and then because you got another shell in the magazine, it didn't take that long to reload and be ready for you. So I got Bruiser. So that was a stun hit, nobody hit it. That was a... what's that one? That's not telling me. Oh, stun hit, but somebody did 886 damage. That was a stun hit, someone did 600. Stun hit, nobody did anything. Stun hit, nobody did anything. And we got a bit of reset on the base. Finished up unbelievably third on the team. 1700 damage, 1 kill, 358 base XP. Fired 5 shots, hit with 2, splashed with 5. That's because I was aiming. That bigger splash means you generally do a bit more damage, so hit more targets. So even though I felt like I missed more, actually 5 shots, 7 hits effectively, which I suppose you can't grumble about. 1700 damage, obviously got shot once, got 1500 assistance. So I don't know whether that vehicle stunned by you, so there you go. Yes, so I got 1500 assistance there. 23,000 credits. They give you this bonus for just playing the game, so ignore that. It cost me 30,000. What's the 30,000 for? Or to repair the vehicle. Okay, so 42,000. So it cost me, if it hadn't been for this 50,000, I would have cost me around about 19,500 credits to play that game. That's without any gold rounds or anything. That's expensive. Wow. And 358 base XP. So I think they're on to sort of right. I think it needs. I actually quite like this. I think the artillery changes are to be applauded. Nobody likes to be one-shotted by artillery. However, they still have a role to play, and I do firmly believe that if it wasn't for artillery, I know it's a big joke about RC stops camping, but it kind of does. And if there was no artillery in the game, and yourself, if you're playing a game and someone says, "Oh, no artillery," and you go, "Oh my goodness, great!" and you're in something that's really good at hull down, you immediately rush to a hull down position. And you sit there because you know that virtually nothing can shift you. So imagine every game you play where you're up against, I don't know, a T-29 who has pretty much an impregnable turret, and they're sitting in a city map. Sitting on maps. But they're sitting in a map where they have a really good hull down position. It's almost impossible to circle them. What do? You just have to leave them alone. Or fire HE at them, I suppose. If there was no artillery. But if artillery's around, then they have to be they can't sit still for too long. So I think there needs to be artillery, but I think there does need to be a rebalance. And actually this feels pretty good. I think from an artillery player's point of view, it feels like you're contributing to the game. It feels like it's not quite as random as it was. The shells are, even when you miss, you've got a fair good chance of doing some splash, and therefore it's influencing the game a little bit. Now, admittedly, we are playing here with the top of the range artillery, and they have all got extremely good crews in them, so that kind of balances that out and makes you wonder what it's going to be like playing a tier 5 artillery with, I don't know, 50% crew. But then you're not going to do very well anyway in those scenarios, so maybe that's a false scenario. So I think they need some tweaking on the credit generation and on the experience generation. I think that's not quite right, but this is just a sandbox, right? This is just where they're testing these ideas out to see whether they're feasible. And I think big thumbs up from me on the artillery changes. I think they're definitely positive. I also like the recharging of consumables. I think that's to be applauded, and it seems to be about the right length of time. 90 seconds Seems about right to me, and I'm assuming when you get the bigger premium packages, the recharge is shorter still, so yeah, I think that's all good. So anyway, if they let me post this from the sandbox, you're seeing this now. If they didn't, then you don't see it at all. And I've just talked to myself for the last 20 minutes or so. Hope you enjoyed it though. If you did, please consider giving it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And I'll catch up with you soon. Let me know what you think about the sandbox. What are you excited about? What are you worried about? Do you think it's a good move? Do you think it's bad news? And I know you won't please everybody, right? And I'm sure there's loads of people saying just get rid of artillery. I actually think that's a bad idea myself, but you know, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. And they're wrong. Because it's my channel. In the meantime, enjoy your games, have fun, try not to take it too seriously. It is just a damn game, right guys? It's just a game. We're just playing with pixels. It's not for real. And I'll see you again soon. Gamer Dom out.